All right, guys, welcome back. So the 2026 House elections begin. The battle of the majority is up on us. So the 2024 election is over. It's behind us. All eyes are now turned to 2026. So while we're still early in the cycle, the battle is underway. So the Republicans come out of the 2024 election with 220 seats compared to the Democrats' 215 seats. So the Democrats picked up 2, the Republicans lost 2. However, there has been some resignations since then. We had Matt Gaetz out of Florida and Waltz out of Florida as well. So 2 members of Congress stepped aside, cutting the Republican majority to a very slim operational 218 majority. The big question, though, remains: can the Republicans defend their control, or will the Democrats flip the House back? So let's break it down. So to do that, we're going to rely on Cook Political Report here. These numbers are pretty similar to ours. We may have some plus or minus some toss-up seats here, depending on some current indicators that we're looking at. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to rely on their projections here. So we have basically 212 seats that are favorable to Republicans, and about 205 seats that are favorable to Democrats. So we have some likely lean columns here. But this is the important part here, the toss-up. So we have about 18 toss-ups. If we just look at some quick math here, out of those 18 toss-ups, 8 are held by Republicans and 10 are held by Democrats. The Republicans need just 6 of those seats to hit 218. They'll still retain control with 218 seats. That's winning 6 seats in the 2026 midterms. Or we could say, hey, maybe they win 40% or 40% win rate of all these toss-ups, and that leaves them around 219 seats. That's a razor-thin but functional majority, much like they're operating at right now. On the Democrats, on the other hand, out of these 18 seats, in order to flip the House, they would have to have a win rate of 72% or win 13 of the 18 toss-ups in order to flip back the chamber. It's a difficult task. Is it impossible? Absolutely not. It just depends on how the winds are blowing. If it's anti-incumbency, if Trump's approval rating craters, if things are falling apart, whatever. If this is just a swing election, it is not out of the question that the Democrats could definitely flip back the House. But as things sit now, that doesn't look favorable. The Democrats tend to be coming into this so far with some unfavorable wins, and we're going to talk about that. But we do have this narrow path. It's a little more narrow than in past midterms. This is leaving Democrats very little room for polling or turnout miscalculations. So if we look at some historical midterm trends here, historically, first term midterm, it's been unkind to the party occupying the White House. So it's historically a fact that they tend to get punished, and they get punished pretty hard. So one of the strongest indicators of that, though, is along with that fact, is presidential approval ratings at the time of the election. So from 1936 to 2018, presidents with approval ratings between 40 and 45%, like Biden had in 2022 and Trump had in 2018, have seen their party lose an average of 36 House seats and 4 Senate seats. Now, the reason why I cut it short from 1936 to 2018, because that did not happen in 2022. The Democrats only lost 9 seats, but we're operating under a new map, and that map was speculated by many analysts to be a lot more competitive. There just wasn't that many seats out there. The redistricting made the map almost swing-proof. So we don't know if we're going to see those 30 and 40 and 60 seat gains like that took place in the 2010s. I guess the word is still out on how the map will behave, but so far it has behaved as advertised. There's just been a few pickups here and there of 2022, and of course the 2024 election. The maps have moved very little. But what's important here is no president who's had an approval rating between 40 and 45 has ever won House seats in the midterms. So that number is very important as the Republican Party heads into the 2026 midterms. If Trump can stay out of that territory, preferably stay up 45 and above, that he may give his party even shot at least hanging on to the House, or at least mitigate a disaster. And so far, so good. But if you're a Democrat and you see his numbers dip below 45%, definitely the favor will swing back towards the Democrats to at least have a good outing in 2026. Also, another factor in this that we're uncovering here, or we want to introduce, I should say, is the number of seats a party defends in the midterms also plays a critical role in the outcome. For example, in 2022, the Democrats defended 222 House seats. So that's below the historical average of 237 for the incumbent party. So in other words, the incumbent party of the House typically defends at least 237 seats heading into that midterm. In 2022, that number was 222. In 2026, that number will be 220, so slightly less than 2022 and a good deal less than the historical average, 237. So with these slightly fewer than the past from compared to other incumbent parties, but it's still an important number. So the takeaway from this would be adding that with a favorable political environment and a stronger approval rating so far, Republicans may be at less risk for some major midterm losses or major midterm setbacks if you compare that to past incumbents. So the more seats you have to defend, the more likely you're going to lose a lot of seats. So with this narrow majority and this small number of seats to defend, the margin of error is also very small as a result, and every toss-up seat will be critical. So let's look at the political environment as it stands now and what we can expect, maybe based on now what we could possibly project if things stay the same, which they won't, or they're probably unlikely to, but based on what we know now. We do have some generic congressional ballot polling, and it does favor the Republicans by 2 or 3 points if you look at the aggregate. I mean, we have RMG research showing it +2, YouGov showing +1 Democrat and +2 depending on the mode here of adult only or RV, registered voter. McLaughlin and Associates show it +7. On and on we go. We got Qantas Insights here. We delivered this poll, released this poll February 10th, and we had it +4 for the Republicans, 48 to 44. And then our previous poll back at the end of January showed it +3 for Republicans, 48 to 45. So is it somewhere in between that? Probably. Again, you have McLaughlin and Associates showing it +8. Who's to say who's right here? We have a lot of confidence in our polling. We'll probably say it's at least +3 right now for Republicans, and that is a good indicator, along with other things, of where the voter sentiment currently lies. So also, if we look at here at the political climate heading into 2026, it's changed a lot since 2024, and certainly during Biden-Harris administrations. When you look at the wrong track, right direction, we see this huge spike here since Trump's election. So in December, the number was under 30. That number has now climbed up over 42. So we're talking probably 14 to 16 points increase in right direction over wrong track. We pulled this question last week, but we framed it in such a way to where we compared the Trump-Vance administration over the Biden-Harris administration. We said, hey, based on Trump-Vance so far, is the country headed in the right direction or is it on the wrong track compared to Biden-Harris? And we got a 50% saying it's headed in the right direction compared to a 47% who believe it's on the wrong track. So that's a +3 environment, or a +3 voter sentiment saying, hey, things are working out pretty well. Or at least we're optimistic about seeing some improvements here. So historically, when voters believe the country is moving in the right direction, the party in power tends to benefit. We can also look at some sentiment analysis and sentiment polling for the Democrats only. And what we see here is some historically low approval ratings for the Democrat Party, certainly when you compare it to the GOP as well. So Quinnipiac, I think, polled this in January, and they showed that Democratic approval in Congress is just at 21%. That's a record low. 57% of the voters now hold an unfavorable view of the Democrat Party. That's the highest since 2008, or since Quinnipiac has started asking this question back in 2008. And you got, by contrast, the Republicans hold a 43% favorability rating, though that's not exactly killing it. It's a lot higher than the Democrats. So that's also the best since 2008 when Quinnipiac started asking this question. So this marks the largest favorability advantage for Republicans over Democrats in over 15 years. We also have some indications of a fractured base, less optimism from the Democrat Party. So Gallup released a poll as well, where 45% of Democrats now want a more moderate party direction. That's an 11-point shift since 2021. So there's been a lot of progressive causes, some things that just maybe everyday Americans don't care about, or maybe frankly don't support. We had, the BLM riots, and you had a lot of just, maybe the woke the woke issues and the transgender issues and DEI and critical race theory and all those things over the last, say, 4 to 6 years hasn't really gotten anybody anywhere. And perhaps it cost them the 2024 election. As we know, there was a 6-point swing from 2020 to the results of 2024. The nation swung 6 points to the right. And there may be some, indications that there's some soul searching on the Democrat side of the aisles here. So if the Democrats are struggling to unify their base and they're having a branding issue, where's the reboot? How do they restart? How do they recalibrate? How do they capture some of that coalition that the Republicans peeled away in 2024? This is some problems that the Republicans do not currently have, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the next step. The Republicans seem to be growing in momentum, and this coalition that brought Trump into power in 2024, it's still showing resilience, that it's there, and frankly, maybe you could argue that it's added to since the election. So if we look at the GOP registration gains, this is another warning sign for Democrats heading into 2026. And by the way, if you don't follow us on Twitter, you can find us here at Qantas Insights on Twitter, or X, I should say. We post a lot of different analysis and commentary. We're always updating our followers and putting out content quite like this. So beyond polling and the sentiment side of things, the Republicans are making clear gains in voter registration. That's an early indicator of electoral momentum heading into 2026. Nevada, Republicans now outnumber Democrats in active voter registration for the first time in nearly 20 years. Pennsylvania, Republicans have narrowed the voter registration gap in all but 3 counties since 2015. In Arizona, Republicans have doubled their voter registration advantage since 2021. North Carolina, the Democrats' registration has dropped massively from 300,000+ down to just 37,000. So that's a massive swing in the direction of the Republicans in the state of North Carolina. That could prove pivotal in the Senate races there in North Carolina. New Jersey, another important state. Kamala Harris won that state by less than 6 points in 2024. It was a massive swing compared to 2020 and every other presidential year in the last, 20 years. So the takeaway here, though, is quick. These registration trends mirror Trump's 2024 performance in these key battlegrounds. So it's suggesting that the shifting electorate, or this electorate we saw shift in 2024, it's still shifting. It still seems to be on the GOP side. The coalition that brought Trump to power is still forming, and it looks like it's heading into 2026. So without any major upsets or upheavals between now and the midterms, it looks like the Republicans are at a decent advantage to at least hold on to the House or mitigate those historical setbacks that we discussed earlier in the video. This is very important as you couple it with the 2026 Senate races as well, which we made a video about. So the battle for the House, though, it is just beginning. As we covered, there's some early indicators that suggest that the Republicans are starting from a position of strength, and they're needing only a fraction of those toss-ups to win their majority. And the Democrats, they're facing a tougher path right now. It requires a near dominance in toss-ups to flip the chamber. As of right now, it looks like the Republicans are at a net advantage to contain or retain the majority in the House. Bottom line is, while anything is possible and anything can change between now and, say, the next 20 months or so, right now the early data suggests Republicans have a clear advantage in holding the House. And we're going to be on top of this as this all unfolds. But if you did find the information useful, had some insights at this, and you liked it, please like and subscribe. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. We enjoy making the content. We'd like to see the channel grow. We love the interaction here on YouTube as well as Twitter. So until next time, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.